Hello, Alfons. Thank you for taking time with me today. Would you maybe just introduce yourself briefly?
Oh, yes, my pleasure. My name is Alfons Sauquet. I'm the Director of Quality Services and Equis at EFMD in Brussels. And formerly, I was the Dean of the Sauquet Business School in Barcelona and Global Dean. I've been involved in management education for some years. I was also part of the GMAC Board of Directors and President of ABIS, the Academy of Business and Society. So this is my field of activity.
Thank you, Alphonse. So today we really want to discuss about quality and innovation. A lot of people say that quality, and we could talk about accreditation because you are the director of Equis and Quality Services. A lot of people say that accreditation and innovation don't go well together because accreditation kind of stop the innovation on schools. Would you be able to tell us more about your vision on that?
Sure, my pleasure. Um, uh, it definitely, when you look at the terms accreditation and innovation, you can say, well, if accreditation is consists of ticking boxes, actually, yeah, you may have a point there. You could say, well, there's an argument. If you just have to comply with the framework, then you could say you are more oriented to a certain way of doing things. But if accreditations, as it is the case with the efmd accreditation quality services, the ones that we promote, is basically a system that actually looks into the different components of what is entailed in an educational institution. How do they combine? Or whether they achieve their goals, not our goals, their goals. This is a complete different picture. What we are trying to do is actually help schools to understand better the connections between the different elements that actually combine and make an educational institution a high quality one. This is the piece, the point in which we come in. Now, at the same time, provided that we are a network of different institutions, obviously part of the formal and informal connections that we develop between and among institutions actually is an excellent and fertile turf to learn from each other and to innovate. So the moment when we see something that is relevant, we tend to showcase that. We tend to commend that institution, and we tend to tell the institution that we, or the peer review team, has appreciated very much, is impressed by that initiative, that specific one, and actually we tend to share that with the rest of the EFMD members and accredited schools, so that actually learning from each other, which is, as you know very well, part of the ecology of innovation, is precisely what one of the benefits of being an institution within the accredited network of whether QACE, EFMD accredited, or you name it, the ones that we propose.
But there's different aspects in innovation, and I know that there's a lot of thinking at EFMD around innovation. And how do you input this innovation into your new standards? I know, for example, you were looking at digitalization. Digitalization is an innovation of sort. So how do you include this innovation on the EFMD accreditation standards?
Excellent question. Well, basically, the process is relatively simple. Every time, every 2 years, maybe we'll look into the whole set of criteria, and then we address whether we are missing something, we are learning something precisely from schools which are doing different things, and we'd like to bring them in actually into the criteria. So I'll give you 2 examples. One is normally when you go for research output, the epitome of the quality of the research output is academic output. And it's good. And definitely if you aspire to become a school which is distinctively known by this, it's perfect. But then lately, we've realized that there are many schools that they have been producing very high quality practice-oriented output in terms of research. And then what we do is actually we go to the standard, we revise the standard, and we start telling reviewers look, you should be paying attention to this. You should be paying attention to practice-oriented research because it's also a high-quality component of the way EQUIS understands research. That's one thing. The other thing could be something like the one we are experiencing right now. So, for example, the pandemic has turned globalization a little bit upside down. Some people are discussing whether things will come back to normal. Others will be saying, well, things are actually going to be different forever. So we do two things here. We ask the schools, okay, tell us what you've been doing. Tell us what kind of responses have you been producing. And then we seize that as much as possible opportunistically, if you wish. And actually we try to put that into the next round of criteria. So for example, resilience is a term that actually makes a whole lot of sense for schools. Risk management, this is something will be there immediately. And in a more, if you wish, broad way, the impact of the pandemic actually is putting an accent on how we deal with issues around sustainability. So this is an issue that actually has become not only a hot topic, but actually crucial topic for us. And then we will start asking business schools, are you really thinking about ERS, which is ethics, responsibility, and sustainability, in a real updated way? How are you bringing your students up to date with the kind of challenges that globalization is bringing in terms of health, mobility, etc.? So both things actually go in parallel. We try to spot new things and actually include them in the revision, in the natural revision of the criteria. And if there are opportunities actually to put something, accelerate the processes, we try to go for them, as it is in the case with ERS, for example.
One of the main chapter of EQUIS is internationalization. And the pandemic has made a lot of change to schools. So would you be able to share some innovation that you have seen in terms of internationalization recently with some of the EQUIS visit or with discussion that you had with schools?
Yeah, well, yes, and Ben, this is an excellent question and a topic that actually is of concern, I might say, to some institutions. Well, internationalization can, very well that from an EQUIS point of view or efmd point of view, can be approached from many different angles. It's the days in which we were counting passports, this is completely gone. We are looking at internationalization in a much more creative way. So what schools have done is the following. Some schools have realized that maybe strategically they should be looking at internationalization in a different way. Not just bringing in students, but maybe actually combining different ways by which they could an international experience to the campus. And that could be done, as we know very well today, virtually. That's one possibility that institutions are exploring. So maybe rather than just bring students, create spaces for students' cooperation. It's based on technology for sure, but this is a space or this is an area in which we understand that this is going to continue. That's one thing. The other thing is that there are networks of schools which in the past have been actually exploring the possibility of creating this kind of global partnerships for these kind of purposes. So actually to bring together alumni or students or researchers for that purposes without going for the physical mobility. Obviously, these networks are going to flourish in this current context. And if you wish more, down to earth, schools are paying a lot of attention to the financial implications of this kind of impact. And they are developing quite sophisticated risk management tools at the same time as they are spotting opportunities. So, for example, there are countries which have gained a reputation in these times of the pandemic because of the way they've been managing it. So they are offering a sort of a safe environment. And there's sort of a, trademark here. There's a brand that actually in such and such institutions located in such and such countries, there seems to be a good management of this kind of crisis. Well, this is an incentive, this is an additional value added for this kind of institution. So there are different opportunities here, and some of institutions are beginning to share to exactly to profile themselves against this kind of challenge.
Well, thank you, Alfons. Our time is up, 10 minutes. Thank you so much. And let's keep the conversation going.